Welcome back to another episode of Late Entry, hosted by tonight, just your boy Double Dose. Kyle is currently dealing with some food poisoning situation. He's busy recreating the bathroom scene from White Chicks, so it'll be just me tonight. I'm trying to pull my best Colin Cowherd and run a solo show, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, leave me some comments, let me know what you think. We're going to be talking tonight about Raja Jackson. We're going to talk about a Skip Bayless tweet that inspired a list of backup quarterbacks. Speaking of quarterbacks, going to talk about Andrew Luck and the Colts quarterbacks since Andrew Luck, and then finish off with an all due disrespect about Jason Whitlock. So let's get right into it. The incident that happened that has been taking all of the internet over by storm over the last, I would say, 24 hours, has been this situation with Rampage Jackson's son, Raja Jackson. So what I've gathered from this is what I'll be talking about. Obviously, this is an ongoing situation with more information coming out, but so far this seems to be what it's looking like. So he was at a wrestling event where he was somehow in the back area with all the wrestlers, and one of the wrestlers didn't know that he wasn't part of the show and thought that it was part of the show, from what I've gathered. And so basically he had crushed this can or bottle on Raja's head, obviously sparking upsetness from Raja. They were arguing, and then basically it seemed like it had diffused. So the wrestler had apologized to Raja, said that he thought he was part of the show, thought that this was, they're always acting, always doing the show, always, or I think he said always working was the words that he used. So he apologized to Raja for doing that. At first, Raja didn't want to hear it. And eventually they shook hands. There was multiple apologies. Shook hands, seemed like it was all cool. So then it seems like it was worked out that as part of Raja's, quote, get back, he was going to be able to go into the ring and, interact with the other wrestler, slam him. Now, this is where it gets dicey. There's been reports, I think even a video of Raja talking on, because he was live on Kick, I think it was, live streaming this entire event and basically saying that he was going to get in. They told him that he could actually hit the wrestler, real hits. And Raja said he's going to hit him as many times as he could, which is a little nuts to begin with right there. So then he gets in there, grabs the wrestler up. The other wrestler doesn't even look like he's trying to fight back for the whole situation. Raja slams him. Now, it appears from what I'm seeing that the other wrestler is knocked out at that moment. Raja then climbs on top of him and begins hitting him over and over and over in the face. Now, from what I've gathered, Raja is an MMA fighter, so these are actual very, very powerful punches. Hits him in the face over 20 times, which is insanity. Basically, the other wrestlers eventually got on him, was pulling him off, kicked him out. He's leaving, he's cussing, talking about how he's not going to be anybody's bitch, how they're not going to talk crazy to him. One of the other wrestlers bit him while they're trying to pull him off. And so this is the situation that we're in right now. And it's crazy, that this is where we're at. Even if he was supposed to actually get in the ring and interact and hit this guy, at what point do you see a man laying underneath you, completely unconscious, not fighting back, just laid out, and you just repeatedly hitting him and hitting him and hitting him and hitting him? It's insanity. Like, this is a terrible look. I mean, it's worse than a terrible look. Everyone's calling it an assault, attempted murder. I'm not any kind of a lawyer to be able to weigh in on that, but it does seem like, once again, at what point do you see this man laying there, defenseless, not fighting back, and continue just to punch him and punch him and punch him in the face? Just terrible, dog. It shows lack of self-control, lack of decorum for understanding the moment. From what I understand, he's been banned from Kick for what happened, and now the police are looking into this, from what I've gathered. It's crazy. And what makes things even worse is the fact that, you've got that video now when people are pointing into it where he's saying, I'm going to hit him as many times as I can. It's like, all right. So even though this event happened earlier, pre-show, and there was the apologies, it now looks like you are not over that, and we're waiting to get your lick back by hitting him. And now it's premeditated because they've got you on record on video that the world has seen saying you're going to hit this man as many times as you possibly can, and then you proceed to do exactly that, hitting him while he's defenseless, completely asleep. It's terrible. I hope that the wrestler, makes a full recovery quickly. And yeah, man, it's brutal. I just don't know what would be going through your head in a situation like that, of why you would think that was okay or the right decision to do, and at what point you don't ever stop. Like, if they had not pulled you off of him, would you still be hitting him right now? And yeah, it's bad. And what makes things even worse is there's a video that I'm not sure if this was recorded recently or if this has just come to light recently or what it is, but I want to say this came out about last week, where Rampage Jackson was doing some kind of an interview, where there's a video of him that came out, and basically he was saying that he's got 4 sons. He's got 2 sons and then 2 adopted sons. And he was saying that the 2 adopted sons, he had put college money aside for them because he knew that they were going to be going to college, doing big things. He said for his son Raja and his other son, he said he put bail money aside from them because he knew that they weren't doing any college and knew that he'd probably have to bail them out of jail eventually. And lo and behold, look where we're at. I'm sure that's going to be coming soon. Because like I said, from what I've gathered, the police are looking into this. So it's just insane. We'll see what happens with the whole situation, but I don't understand what would make you think that was a smart decision. And you're talking about, walking around angry, talking about how you're not anyone's bitch, and they're not gonna let them mess with you like that. And it's like, dude, how does it prove that you're a man to slam somebody that's clearly thinking this is part of the match, and then is asleep, unconscious, he's not defending himself, and you, an MMA fighter, are just punching this man repeatedly in the face as hard as you can? What point does that prove? I don't understand what situation that Raja feels like he's going to be able to defend himself in a situation like this. Like, once again, you're talking about, like, you're not trying to be anybody's bitch. You're not letting them play with you. If you had, like, the guy hit you with the can and immediately you fire back on him and it's just scrapping from right there, all right, cool. Like, you could argue that maybe that was self-defense. Like, he hit you, you didn't know what was coming next, you fire back on him. All right. Now we've got some more of some middle ground situation here, because then the man laid hands on you, you immediately lay hands back. You got a whole different situation here. But if you've got this situation now where you attacked him afterwards and it's on video, and then it's coming out too now that this man is a veteran and that he has PTSD, and wrestling is one of his real true escapes to get away from this stuff, and this is what's happened, they are going to bury you. They are going to bury you, dog. Like, it's over. It is so over for you. And I don't know what you could possibly use to defend this situation. It's all the way bad. But yeah, this is about to be one of those perfect examples. You fuck around and find out. Like, you fucked around big time, and everybody's eyeballs are on it now. This has been one of the biggest news stories. Like I said, everybody's talking about. I've never heard of you before today, but I've heard of you now, and everyone's going to be paying attention to this, and people are going to be calling for them to throw the book at you, bro. They about to bury him under the jail. It's going to be greasy, but like I said, we'll see what happens with that. Moving on to the next topic. I mean, before I do move on, I just want to say it's wrong. It's become a whole giant ordeal. Obviously, the grifters are out here trying to make it a race thing already. It's terrible, and I just think that we should call out wrong when it's wrong, no matter the color of the skin, who the people were involved, and this was an absolutely wrong behavior. So, yeah, I'm disgusted seeing it, and I hope that once again, I hope that things work out in the best way possible. The investigation is done. Justice is done in the situation. The other wrestler makes a full recovery. All right, let's talk a little bit about the most polarizing family in the NFL currently. And it's going to be the Sanders. We're going to talk about Shilo first, and then get into some Shedeur situation. So with the Shilo situation, it's been an interesting 24 hours for him. He was playing in the preseason game. He got caught. It's crazy. Players never remember that it seems like it doesn't matter who starts it, the person who goes second is always one who gets seen, and they always want who gets in trouble. He was tied up with one of the Bills, I believe it was the Bills tight ends. I don't remember the guy's name, But basically, they were tied up. The play had ended, and the Bills player was still grabbing him, and they were going back. And then it's right in front of the ref, and here comes Shilo, punch the guy in the helmet. I've always wondered what you gain from punching somebody in the helmet. Like, that has to hurt your hand way worse than it hurts their hand, like their head. Like, you could hit, if you're trying to do something like that, bro, a little palm action under the helmet where it's soft down here, chin strap, that's where you want to go with it. But you just punching somebody's helmet, bro, that shows that's probably what was the end for him. It wasn't even the fact that you hit him, that you punched his helmet. They're like, that's bad judgment right there. But yeah, man, I think that the whole thing probably the team didn't love that. He got ejected. I think it was in the second quarter of the game. So then turn around the next day and the Bucs released him. So hopefully he lands with another team. They did say a lot of good things about having him in the building. He was very respectful. Good for the culture of it, but unfortunately had to cut him now. So we'll see. I've heard there's a possibility he could rejoin the Bucs at a later time, or maybe another team grabs him up. But I guess we will see. But yeah, always a second person gets caught, always. And yeah, don't punch a player with the helmet on, because now you're not on the team and you probably got a broken hand. So hoping for better things from Shilo moving forward. On to the next situation. This is the Shedeur. So this is a little tricky as a fan looking from the outside in. Now, Shedeur got to play a little bit in the fourth quarter, third or fourth quarter. I was not able to watch the game. I was at work during the time, but I've tried to catch up on what happened with this. And basically, Dylan Gabriel was in. He was playing with like the ones and the twos. Shedeur is playing with some guys who are going to be bagging fries next week. And I guess from what I've seen, all or almost all of the linemen that were blocking for him have been released from the team since. So yeah, not playing with a lot of great players, but it did not go well. He had I believe a 23-yard sack that he took, or 25-yard sack. Yeah, it didn't go well. So now here's where it starts getting dicier, is that people are saying that, the game was called differently for Dylan Gabriel toward what he did well, whereas it was called much differently for Shedeur, which you could chalk up to the fact that, he's not the starter, or maybe the personnel he was working with, or what. But some people also have been pointing to the fact that they think that they're trying to set him up to fail. Now, I guess we'll see. Now, both theories have some validity to them, at least in my head, of what could be happening. On one hand, you have the fact that the organization invested a draft pick in Shedeur. They grabbed him. Why would they not want to elevate his status, train him up? If he winds up being the best quarterback, perfect. Maybe you've got, maybe he's the answer instead of Dylan Gabriel once Flacco's gone. Otherwise, if Gabriel and Shedeur both look great, perfect. Now you've got a trade asset. Trade him, get some pieces back. That's one option, one way to look at it. The other one is the fact that some people are saying that, you're trying to set them up to fail. This whole thing from the beginning has been, all right, we're going to work together. We're not going to pick him high. We're going to let him fall all the way down. We're going to humble this guy. Now we're going to roll him out with the bad players and show that, oh, look, he can't play. You know what? Everyone's just saying that he can't play. So we're just setting him up to fail. A lot of people are calling for Stefanski's job. Other people are saying they need to trade Shedeur. They want him gone into a different situation. They don't think that they're doing the best thing for him. And what's interesting is a lot of high-profile people have opinions about it both ways. You've got somebody like a Colin Cowherd who's talking about, Kevin Stefanski knows more football than he does, than we do at home. He's good at evaluating quarterbacks. He's won games with bad quarterback play. So if he's viewing this and saying, okay, Shedeur is not that guy, at least right now, then we need to trust his opinion on that. You've also got former NFL players. You've got Shannon Sharp. You've got not Terrell Owens, TJ Houshmandzadeh, Ocho. You've got Skip Bayless. You've got all those people talking about the fact that Shedeur is getting screwed, basically. And so it's very difficult to try to figure out what's good and what's wrong with this. The other reason that you could potentially not want Shedeur to look great is because when he had to play that first preseason game, he looked very good. Very, very good. And so you don't want to cause a quarterback controversy if having people, your plan is Dylan Gabriel, and all the outside noise is, no, play Shedeur, no, play Shedeur. And that's what's happening before the preseason game, and it's probably going to continue to happen. So it's like, all right, if we make Dylan Gabriel look really good, if Shedeur look really bad, maybe this will stop for a little bit and we can just rock with our plan and not have to listen to the outside noise. Quarterback controversy is never a good situation for a team. It just causes uncertainty. And you're going into week one, you want to start off smooth, one team, one voice, and not have all these outside opinions on it. So it's only time is going to tell. I believe that, if Shedeur is that good, I think that the talent will be undeniable. Eventually he'll get his chance, either with the Browns or with somebody else. We will see. It's hard to believe. And people are saying back and forth things. I don't think it's crazy to think that there is a conspiracy with the league, especially towards Shedeur because of the arrogance of him and his family, his dad, him. That's very unpopular to a lot of people. I know they rubbed a lot of people the wrong way when they were at Colorado. And so there's that potential there. And we've seen the league. I mean, I think that most people, maybe not everybody, but I feel like most people believe that there was at least something to do with the league's collusion as it pertains to Colin Kaepernick. Like that man suddenly just couldn't play anymore. Not necessarily a starter, but that he couldn't be a backup, that he wasn't better than a lot of the backups in the league at that time, but that nobody wanted him. And maybe it's collusion, or maybe it's the fact that teams don't want to have outside noise at all. Like if someone signed Colin Kaepernick, then they got to deal with all the questions about it. The same thing with Shedeur. Wherever Shedeur goes, it's going to be a lot of eyes, a lot of attention following him, and people are going to want to see him play. So it's a tough situation he's in right now. But if the things that people have said are true, he's got very good work ethic. He knows how to handle himself. So I just want to see him keep his head down, keep grinding, and eventually things are going to work out for you, man. Earlier, Sam Howell, who was with the Vikings, Sam Howell's had a busy offseason. He was with the Seahawks, got traded to the Vikings. The Vikings now just traded Sam Howell to the Eagles as their backup for Jalen Hurts. So Skip Bayless had now tweeted, the Eagles are now vulnerable if their backup quarterback has to play. And at first I was like, okay. Had the same kind of thought that everybody else did that was in the comments. Okay, yeah, Skip, obviously. Like, there's not any team that's going to be fine if they lose their starting quarterback. It's why it's their starting quarterback and not their backup quarterback. So, super obvious. But then I started thinking about it more. And I was thinking, okay, are there any teams that if they lost their quarterback can still be all right? And so what I did was made my top 5 list of quarterbacks that if they had to play 5 games could win you 2 to 3 of them. So I'm going to go from 5 to 1. Before I hit my 5, I'm going to give my honorable mention. It took a lot of thinking to see if I was going to put him in the 5 or not, but I wound up holding him out. It's Mac Jones, who is the backup quarterback for Brock Purdy at the 49ers. Now, Kyle Shanahan has made so many things work. He was winning games with Nick Mullins a few years ago. So we already know that no matter what the quarterback is, Kyle Shanahan and his system is going to find a way to win games. And so I wanted to put him in my top 5, but then I was thinking about it, and there's all the injuries. I mean, they're decimated. The receivers are decimated. All of their backup running backs are hurt. That's why they just got Brian Robinson Jr. from the Commanders. So their whole team is decimated by injuries. I think that people, even with Brock Purdy starting, are hesitant to see what's going to happen with the Niners this season. So for that reason, I'm going to hold Mac Jones out. I'm going to put him as honorable mention. I do also want to mention that there are no rookies on this list. I thought that rather than talk about the potential of a Jackson Dart, like Jalen Milroe, situations like that, I would just leave the rookies out of it and just go with people that have been in the league at least 1 year already. So at number 5, we've got Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is currently Lamar's backup with the Ravens. We've seen Cooper Rush play for extended periods of time, including last year when Dak was hurt. He's serviceable. He is not going to necessarily be the X factor why you win a game, but he's going to be a lot better than a lot of the options that exist. So if you've got Cooper Rush with Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, that offensive line, the tight ends, you've got Mark Andrews, likely is hurt right now, but should be back later in the season. I'm thinking that if you've got Cooper Rush with them, he could probably win you 2 to 3 games out of those 5. Number 4, Andy Dalton. Bryce Young's backup with the Panthers. Now, Andy Dalton has had lots of playing time as a starter before, been a good quarterback, at least a decent quarterback throughout his career. Last season, they did bench Bryce for Andy, let Bryce sit it down, learn from the vet. Bryce came in, or not Bryce, Andy came in. I believe he did win in 1 or 2 games with that. They've only improved the team since that from last season with McMillan. I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name, Tetura, something like that. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that you give Andy Dalton 5 games, depending on who they're playing, they could probably squeak out 2, maybe 3 wins, depending on who they're playing. Number 3, we've got the guy that was on a tour of the NFL either a season or 2 ago, Josh Dobbs. That man was making it look like being a backup was what he was called to do. He would just go from team to team to team, play a few games for them, move on to the next team, play a few games. And he was lighting it up. Now, when you have him play consistently as a starter week after week after week, things started looking a lot worse for him. But Josh Dobbs on the Patriots, they just got Travion Henderson, got some weapons over there. Mike Vrabel, the new coach. If you go in there and try to work within what Dobbs does, rely on your defense, your run game, I think in a 5-game stretch, winning 2 or 3 games, I think that is possible, especially for Dobbs. That man was lighting it up he had a nice little Linsanity run, but I think that he still got it in there. Number 2, we've got Tyrod Taylor. Sorry, I think his name is pronounced Tyrod. Tyrod Taylor for the Jets. We're going to see if he winds up being the backup the entire season anyways. I'm a big Justin Fields believer. I think that he hasn't had a great opportunity since. The Jets are still an interesting situation, so we'll see how Justin Fields does. But I think you get someone like Tyrod, who's had some experience being a starter, played a lot of games. You get him. We've talked about this before on the podcast about the fact that Garrett Wilson and the rest of the offense is just waiting for a competent passer to come in there and be able to run the show. You've got, I forgot Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett up out of there. A lot of the turmoil that was happening last season is now over with, so hopefully a little more stable under Aaron Glenn and the coaches and coordinators that he's brought in. I think that if push comes to shove, you need Tyrod to play a few games. Once again, this is dependent on who they're playing. They are in the AFC in a tough division. But if you got him in there, I think that he can get it done. I think that you rely on Breece Hall. You target Garrett Wilson. I think that Tyrod can make some shit shake. So I think that out of these options, both between the quarterbacks and the teams that they're on, I would say that Tyrod's probably got the second best chance of everybody in the league of if you had to have him play for 5 games, winning a few of them for you and having some other competitive ones. That's just what I would think. Now, my last one, this is a quarterback that I think if he had not got, I'm curious to see how this all worked out, because I feel like it almost seems like he kind of got played by this organization. He should probably be a starter on another team. And if he wasn't locked up with a contract and a team that doesn't want to trade him, he most likely would be. Now, this is Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix Jr. is going to be the starter this season. They've already said that. He's the future. But Kirk Cousins has been a starter for the what was the Commanders back before they were the Commanders. Then with the Vikings, and then went and signed, I think it was like a 4-year deal for a lot of money with the Falcons. He can play. He can definitely play. And he had some ups and downs when he was there. Obviously didn't play well enough to hold off Michael Penix Jr. But if Penix was to go down, heaven forbid, I think that Kirk Cousins is going to step right back into it. And he's going to be walking in his old line, walking the trap, take over the trap. Kirk Cousins was doing his thing for a little bit down in Atlanta with the Falcons. So I think that, you put him in for 5 games. He might win you 2 of them. He might win you 3. He might win you 4. It depends on who they play, but also in that division too, where you're going against the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Saints, the terrible Saints. I think there's a very good chance that Kirk Cousins, if he's playing especially some divisional games, that he might get some dubs out of that. So, I would say that the team that, if I was to say you lost your starting quarterback and you had to put a backup in, Kirk Cousins, I think he's going to put the cape on. He's going to take care of business. But, that's my top 5 list of quarterbacks or of teams that could win with their backup quarterbacks at least 2 or 3 games over a 5-game stretch. Moving on. Speaking of quarterbacks, today marks, you guys are going to be seeing this one day after, but as I'm recording this, today marks 6 years since Andrew Luck retired after a preseason game. I remember seeing this. It was crazy. Came as a complete shock to everybody. This man who had battled so many injuries and came back to play. You go out for a preseason game, and then the preseason game ends, and he comes back in the press conference. I'm retiring. One of the funniest things I remember is O.J. Simpson, who got online and had just done a fantasy draft and was like, Andrew, look, I just drafted you, and you just screwed me over, man. I don't have a quarterback. And I feel like that's changed the way that people, at least in the leagues that I'm in, have done drafts moving forward from that. It used to be people would draft all August, and I know some people would be concerned about preseason injuries, but I feel like that was like the cherry on top of that. Now nobody wants to draft before like the last week in August. They don't want to make sure that no one gets hurt in the preseason. They don't want to make sure no one retires in the preseason. It's crazy. So the impact of that lives on in fantasy, but it also lives on with the Colts. The Colts have really never bounced back from this since. Obviously, if you retire in the preseason, like a week before the season starts, you don't have time to really make a good move as to get a new quarterback. So they've been kind of plugging and playing. Like I said, to get a new quarterback and train him up on their system, get him ready to go for the season. Usually that's a whole offseason thing, and then still quarterbacks struggle with that. So they've been kind of plugging and playing different quarterbacks ever since that's happened. And so I have two lists for you guys about what the Colts have done with this. First of all, Colts week 1 starting quarterbacks since Andrew Luck retired. So Andrew Luck in 2018, Jacoby Brissett 2019, Phillip Rivers in 2020, Carson Wentz in 2021, Matt Ryan 2022, and then for the first time in back-to-back years, you had Anthony Richardson at 23 and 24. And now 2025, we're going in with Daniel Jones. So those have been all the different quarterbacks that have started week 1 since Andrew Luck has retired. Moving on from that, Daniel Jones is now going to be the 11th starting quarterback for the Colts since Andrew Luck's retirement, which is insanity. 11th starting quarterback. Now, this is not just week 1, but this is start a game for the Colts. So you had 2019, Jacoby Brissett, 15 games. 2019, Brian Hoyer, 1 game. 2020, 17 games, Phillip Rivers. 2021, 17 games from Carson Wentz. 2022, 12 games from Matt Ryan. 2022, 3 games, Sam Ellinger. 2022, 2 games, Nick Foles. They were going through it. 2023, 13 games, Gardner Minshew. And then 2023, 2024, 15 games, Anthony Richardson. 2024, 6 games, Joe Flacco. And then 2025, we're now going to have Daniel Jones. So, yeah, the Colts have never really fully bounced back from this. They haven't done enough to get a draft pick that they've wanted for a better quarterback. And when they did, they got Anthony Richardson. Everyone thought that he had so much talent, the arm talent, the speed. He compared himself, I think, to Cam Newton meets Tom Brady. I think he had called himself before he got drafted. And it's been a big disappointment. I mean, Anthony Richardson's been hurt. And when he's not been hurt, he hasn't looked great. He'll do something crazy like throw like a 60-yard bomb down the field, get completed, and then he'll fumble the ball. Or he'll throw an interception, not following his reads, tapping out of a game. And that's like the most damning thing that everyone points to is the fact that you were driving down the field, got down there, and then tapped out. Said, I got to come out the game, coach. Like no tap of like, hey, let's run the ball. Give me a quick breather, nothing like that. Took me out the game. And so it's just crazy. And I'm sure I'm not breaking news to anybody here about the Anthony Richardson experience. But just been an absolute nightmare at quarterback for them. And I feel like it's even worse with everything that happened in New York with the Giants, with Daniel Jones. For you now to be a Colts fan and have to sit here and be like, well, my season is depending on the fact that hopefully Daniel Jones can come out here and do something for us. It's not a good look. It's not a good situation at all. I feel bad for the Colts fans of like this struggle ever since Andrew Luck retired. The best season that they had, if I'm remembering correctly, was the year that Phillip Rivers was there. I think they actually did win 1 or 2 playoff games. Everything else has been bad. And you've had a lot of veteran quarterbacks have rotated in. Nothing's been spectacular at all. And then you finally get your draft pick and you're finally excited. Okay, Anthony Richardson. And it doesn't go well. But it's like you also drafted a project quarterback and have not really put the full time in for him to be a project. He played part of his rookie season, got injured for the rest of the season. Then last year you had the whole debacle. So he's really only played like one full season, roughly one full season, knowing that when you took him, he was going to be a project. And you see this happen with teams sometimes too. This happened with Trey Lance. Took him, he was kind of raw with the Niners. He's kind of raw. Only started, I think, a year in college. And then he got injured and never really got a full shot to come back from that. Brock Purdy came in, and the rest was history. Trey Lance then went to the Cowboys, was a backup there, and is now with the Chargers under Jim Harbaugh, where supposedly he's been looking pretty good in the preseason. But yeah, as a Colts fan, I can't imagine being like, damn, on one hand, we got Anthony Richardson. On the other hand, we have Daniel Jones. And between the two of them, that's what I'm tying my every Sunday until the end of the season on. That's heartbreaking, man. It's absolutely heartbreaking for them. I know Kyle and I had talked before a few weeks ago on like who we predicted the worst team in the NFL was going to be. That was our pick. It's between them and the Saints for me. I kind of go back and forth on this all the time of like, damn, the Saints got Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler, and those are their quarterback options. And their team is a lot worse, but they're also in a worse division. So it's like, it's going to be between the two of them. I'm going to look back on this at the end of the season and see which one it wound up being, but it's going to be 1A and 1B. I would be shocked if any other team is this bad. But yeah, I understand that, like, from the Andrew Luck perspective of, you know, he said he fell out of love with the game, and you don't want to go out there in a game this violent and this dangerous and half-ass it, because that's how you get hurt. And he's already been hurt. But it's just crazy to see how that decision, 6 years later, has still affected this team. And they're still cheeks, still buns. But yeah, moving on to that, we're going to get into some all due disrespect. And before I give my all due disrespect, I'm going to start this off with a video to show you guys. Let me pull this up. So this is Joy Taylor on Cam Newton's podcast. And he asks her about Jason Whitlock.
Every time someone brings up Jason Whitlock, I can't believe he's still with us. I don't think anything works harder than his cholesterol, if I'm being honest.
When he said that rack.
Okay, so before you go on, I've never watched this. Okay, I'm only aware of this from adjacent conversation. I did not watch a single second of this. I couldn't give a fuck less. And I have not consumed any of it.
Well, I'm going to give you the.
He said something about peanut butter, right?
Yeah, that peanut
what a
butter.
Shock.
The
food.
Yeah, peanut butter skin.
Okay.
And when I was working with her, we would always see her rack, and I wanted to stay away from her because I knew what I would have done.
Well, I mean, he's so desirable.
Yeah, but we love Jason.
No, we do. I do not. No, we don't. Who loves Jason? Does God love Jason?
Yeah, I do.
I do not. I do not love Jason. This is you say what you need to say. I do not. I don't love everybody.
He gives me reason. It's like, okay, bro. I can't wait to see him. I want to see him.
You will never see him.
Why is that?
You will never. Where are you going to see him? A hole? He is not going outside.
Because like
where is he going to go?
When I see. It's like, bro, I never see my man. I just be wanting to.
You will never see him.
Where you at, bro? Like
he's hiding, which is where you should say. I don't ever talk about him because I don't think about him because I don't care. But so yeah, but you're never gonna see him.
I can't wait.
I don't think he goes to the grocery store. You're not gonna see him. You can wait forever. You're not gonna see him.
Okay, so yeah, that I'm so happy for multiple pieces of this video. I'm happy for one that somebody finally got a chance to ask Joy Taylor about this Jason Whitlock situation, because Jason was so out of pocket with what he said with her. He was talking about literally, he said that big rack and that peanut butter skin, bro. What the hell? That was insane of him to say. And I'm happy that somebody finally asked Joy about it so we could get her opinion on it. I'm also happy that Joy stood on business. She was like, man, fuck Jason Whitlock. I don't give a fuck about him. And I'm going to get into it in a second. I am not a Jason Whitlock enjoyer at all. I feel exactly how Joy does. I despise Jason Whitlock, but it's nice to see her. She said, you can say that you like him. I do not like Jason Whitlock. Fuck Jason Whitlock. And I wanted to know what Cam's talking about, how he likes him, enjoys him. I want to know what it is that he enjoys about him. Like, does he have a bond with him over the fact that they like those big ass hats? I can't see what else it is that you could possibly enjoy about him. But yeah, fuck Jason Whitlock. And I enjoy every time that one of these big names comes out and talks about Jason Whitlock. You've had Stephen A come at him before. He's beef with everybody. Everybody doesn't like Jason Whitlock at all because Jason Whitlock is a despicable fucking human being. One of the funniest moments was back when he was still with Fox, and you had LeVar Ball there, and he said, "Oh, Jason can comment on his snacks." That shit was hilarious. But I pulled up some of Jason Whitlock's greatest hits that I'm going to read to you guys about why this guy is such a fucking not a great person. So this first one, back in February 2012, after Linsanity was happening, after I think it was one of the games that Jeremy Lin had dropped 38 points. And Jason Whitlock got on Twitter and said, some lucky lady in New York City is going to feel a couple inches of pain tonight, as in making a joke about Asian people having small dicks. Which, if you're outside, you're in a comedy, he was talking about, he had to release an apology about it. He's like, I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And it's like, all right, well, if you're trying to be a comedian, that's one thing. That's a different lane of work entirely. But when you cover sports, you're a sports journalist. It's inappropriate for you to say something like that. Like, I can't imagine if the reaction of a Colin Cowherd or Nick Wright or Stephen A got on TV or got on Twitter and said something like that. It would be obscene, because that's an obscene thing to say. Moving on, you've got Jason Whitlock referring to himself. He said, I know I'm a sexist pig. I know I'm one of the worst people on the planet. In some of his comments talking about women reporters and the people that cover the games during the games for both basketball, the WNBA, the NBA, football. He's talking about every time he turns the TV on to see something, it's always women in all the men's sports. So that's how he feels about that. He was talking about how the WNBA is a traveling lesbian sex cult, a very hostile group. He's talking about how they, in a conversation involving his feelings about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark, and talking about how it's a woke hellhole and it's going to kill Caitlin Clark, which I know people have opinions on, but I appreciated him talking about self-owning, the sexist pig, one of the worst people on the planet, because you are both of those things, and you are one of the worst people on the planet. He compared the Black Lives Matter movement to the Ku Klux Klan. He defended somebody that was talking about, he defended Kanye West's anti-Semitic remarks, talking about Jewish power brokers in Hollywood. He had released a video in 2023 questioning if Michelle Obama was transgender. He has talked about how he thinks that we should repeal the 19th Amendment. So his comments, which the 19th Amendment is what gave women the right to vote. His whole comments in that's a little bit more specific than just that on the surface. But yeah, still not great over that. He talked about Serena Williams dancing at the Super Bowl akin to cracking a tasteless X-rated joke inside a church. He called Alexis Ohanian's husband a simp. And then back in 2017, when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for police brutality, he had a guy dressed up as Colin Kaepernick. This is when he was back with Fox. And it was Speak for Yourself when he was on that show. and he had some guy dressed up as Colin Kaepernick on the show, doing basically a caricature of Colin Kaepernick. He's just a self-hating coon that just panders to, the racist people. Anything that, white people can say against black people, he's always there to be the trumpeter, you know what I mean? And you even have like people like other right-wing people, or like very right-wing people, like Nick Fuentes. It basically said that Jason Whitlock only exists as a token so that he can say the things that white people want to say about us but can't because of getting called racist. And that's what his whole thing is for. And I completely believe that. Like, you basically have worked for all these different companies and have been such a detriment to the culture there, to the image of these companies, that you don't last anywhere. You burn all your bridges. You're a terrible human being, and you like to get on here and talk about, he's got his new show now, Fearless. And it's just him talking shit about people and talking about Joy Taylor's tits. And it's like, bro. And that's another thing too. Like, he runs on this whole I'm a Christian, this, and we should be a God-fearing country. If you're so Christian, why are you on your show describing Joy Taylor's titties and that peanut butter skin? You're just a sick man. He's a sick man, and I really, really, truly despise Jason Whitlock and everything that he stands for. Every time he pops up, it's like, oh my God, this guy again. I have no respect for the man at all. And so, yeah, it felt good for me to see Joy take some shots at him back. So, yeah, all due disrespect to Jason Whitlock. But, yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this episode today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. See me running a little solo action here. But, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know. Let me know if you think that I missed anybody at quarterback for the backups. Let me know if you think that I got it right with the Rajah Jackson situation, or if you think that I got it wrong, or what your opinions are on that entire situation in general. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to Late Entry. Don't forget to come find us on either Twitch or YouTube Wednesday. We've got our live episodes every Wednesday, and I will see you guys then. Peace.